is always identifying, imagining himself itself with the body, not turning towards the Paramatma. So it's not easy to just turn towards the super soul and start getting the bliss. The desire, the thought, yes, I should try and seek something spiritual, is the starting point. That's the desire the soul should do. That's the job of the soul. But instead of desiring for Krishna, Paramatma, or super soul, the soul desires for the bodily happiness. Imagines pleasure and pain from the body. And that pain and pleasure is supposedly to be tolerated, not accepted as the real pleasure or pain. That is the meaning of this verse. Yes, Vasant.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we say when the soul is left from the body, it's a dead body, right? But there are instances like uh, when that soul hasn't completed some task in his life, that soul still remains in this world. So then, why can we call that body a dead body when that soul is still within here?
Good question. That you're talking about a ghost?
Yeah, and like red. Yeah. So I would
Yeah.
like to know a bigger perception
So
on that.
your question, I'll put it, what is a ghost?
Ghost is the soul.
Ghost is definitely a soul. Now, in the beginning of our discussion, I mentioned that dehi nosmin yatha dehi, as mentioned in 2.13, that there is a dehi and there is deha. So deha is the body and dehi is the soul, the one who resides inside the body. But this is a temporary body. So if I put it in today's terms, this is a tenanted body or tenanted house. It's not the ownership. Okay. So there is a lease. When there is a tenancy, there is a lease. So the lease, say for example, you signed up for 70 years to stay in this body. Yeah. So that is not as per the years, unfortunately. It is as per your breaths. So that's why it is said he did his last breath, he breathed his last. So the count of the number of times you breathe is your life. They are counted, and that's what is given to you. So it's not years. सांसें गिन के मिलती हैं. That is your tenancy agreement based on your karma. You got this. Now what happened? That you had, say, 70 years of lease, but in the middle, you decided to break the lease, say at 40 years. But टेनेंसी एग्रीमेंट ब्रेक करेंगे तो 30 साल का रेंट भरना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए रुकना पड़ेगा. So you have to stay here, and that is called a ghost.
Okay.
Does that answer a question?
Yeah, yeah, it
I've
does. It
never
does.
heard that kind of explanation for a ghost. I've never heard that kind of explanation, Prabhu. It was really funny. And Prabhu, amazing what you explained regarding previously. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much
No,
from
no
my end.
problem. Any other questions or comments?
Rather, Prabhu, I would like to relate the story to Ashwatthama's thing, where now it is said, or I've read that once the Kalki avatar will be there, is when Ashwatthama will get liberated, and all those kind of
Okay, okay,
things are there. But yeah, makes
okay.
sense.
All right. Any other
On
questions or
one
comments?
question, Prabhu, on this
Yeah.
identification of body, of soul as body. Um, Now, we understand, but we spoke about Maya, which
Mhm.
is fair enough. and to turn towards spirituality, which we spoke about, which is the most difficult task, of course.
Mm, mm.
And I know we have discussed this many times that we are all starting out outside the lift. We have to first get in, and then those elevation paths are there.
Yeah, yeah,
My question there was, in this verse we have covered a lot of aspects, and of course 12, 13, and 14 are very important ones. If we even take 10% of it, something definitely will change our life. And you had
yeah.
mentioned about Singapore Airlines in the last to last
Yes,
session,
yes,
which
yes.
I thought of checking about. If you could explain how you would
Yeah,
relate Bhagavad Gita to that airlines.
yeah, yeah. So there is a verse. I'm not sure about the exact number of that verse. That verse speaks about you focus on your own work and discharge your duties based on your nature, but you do not interfere or try to copy someone else's work because that could be disastrous. So, to extend this verse a little more further, in simple words, it says that even if you are doing something incorrectly, but that is your nature of work, you should continue doing that instead of trying to copy someone else or trying to be like someone else. So the idea is to perform this duty or perform this work based on your ambition, but depends on what is the disposition of this ambition. You know what is disposition? Anyone? What is disposition?
Disposition would be like copying, or you're trying to imitate yourself in a different person's.
No, disposition means how do you perceive things? How do you see things?
Hmm.
That's called disposition. How do you look at things? So I'll give you an example. Ambition can have different dispositions. Ambitions can be outside in or it can be inside out. I'll give you an example. If you buy Mercedes, say for example, you bought Mercedes C class, okay, but your neighbor buys Mercedes E class, okay. Now what happens is that, oh my God, I should have a better class than this guy. That's what you need to get into. Okay, I need to get a better class car than my neighbor, and that becomes your short-term ambition, and you somehow get it. Okay, now what is this ambition? This is an outside in ambition. So Duryodhan was asked once when he took everything from the Pandavas and sent them to the forest. Dhritarashtra, his father, asked him, "Are you happy now, son?" He said, "No. How can a person be happy if his enemies are still alive? I want to go and stay near the forest where they are staying, and I want to have a party next to them. I want to have barbecue. I want to have girls. I want to have liquor. I want to show them how happy I am so that they can see and feel bad that how bad situation they are in. That will make me happy." You see this ambition. So outside in. I'll give you another example. Arjun. Arjun was a great warrior. Dronacharya told everyone in the Gurukul who were cooking, who were the cooks, he told them that do not serve Arjun food in the dark. Never. They didn't understand why, but they took his words, said, okay, no problem. Once what happened? Once Arjun was eating the food at night and there were lamps around him, and there was a strong wind which blew everywhere, and it just, all the lamps went off. It was dark. Arjun was eating and he kept on eating in the dark. Suddenly he realized that his hand is going right to his mouth without seeing anything. It's all pitch dark, and even then he could eat very comfortably. And that thought raised another thought that if I can eat in the dark, I can fight in the dark. So he became a Gudakesha. He tried to control his sleep. So he would learn during the day and practice at night. That made him an extraordinary warrior. So anybody, if he was like in deep sleep and someone just passes by and thinks about attacking Arjun, he will stand up and shoot that person. That was Arjun. So he realized something, and his ambition was inside out. He tried to improve himself, whereas Duryodhan tried to prove himself. So there is a difference in ambitions. When you try to do something, if it is outside in, you will prove in front of everyone you are something. But when the ambition is inside out, it is your nature. It is something from inside which is going, and that ambition will be successful. And that was followed by Singapore Airlines. So you do your work out of nature, finding your own purpose in this world, rather than getting your ambitions from outside, looking at others' work. That's why they became successful. And so was Arjun. Does that answer your
Yep.
question,
Okay.
Kshitij?
Yep. Thanks.
Prabhu, your classes are like life changing, like so much an eye opener. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, like practically, if we implement what you're saying, it will change our lives for sure.
That's
That's
Bhagavad
really.
Gita, not me.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
It's Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada
I mean,
and Bhagavad
but
Gita.
but
Yeah,
explaining it in a way that we can understand, Prabhu, not like not everyone
yeah.
can do that, or I don't know
So
that.
my
It's
request
really
is
good.
that you read Bhagavad Gita every day. You will also be able to contemplate it nicely and understand. You may have a better understanding and a different understanding, a different perception, different angle of thought. So please read Bhagavad Gita. It's a wonderful scripture. Yes, it can change lives. Yes. Okay, so we'll end our session here. We'll catch up next week. Thank you very
Thank you,
much for your
Prabhu.
time. Hare Krishna.